Good evening, everyone. We are going to be joined tonight by Santo, who is a really fantastic artist who I know, who I'm very excited to, uh, to talk to and to share with you all. Santo is really, really incredible, so I'm so excited to get to chat with him today. We are going to be joined in just a moment.
Hello? I think it's uploading.
Santo is joining, but it's connecting. It's taking a minute. Oh, I think Santo may be having some connection issues, but hopefully we're gonna try this again. Hold tight, everyone.
Hey, Evan.
Hi, Santo. It's
Oh,
so good to see you.
it's so good to see you. Oh my gosh. How
It's
is it
been it's been ages since we talked.
for real? Oh my God.
Yeah,
Your beard has gotten even more full. It's
yes, it has. I love it. It brings me so much gender euphoria. Makes me so happy.
what we want. Oh my gosh. It's so good to see you.
It's so good to see you. Um, could you tell everyone your name
Yeah.
and pronouns and just like a little bit about yourself or what you do, whatever you want to say?
Yeah. So my name is Santo Jacobson. I'm a Swedish Ecuadorian illustrator. I use he, him pronouns. And actually, this is my second week on T. Like, I just took my second shot. So
Congrats! Oh my gosh, I forgot to take my shot this week.
I can't wait to get to that
Do
point. But
that.
right now, I'm counting.
Yeah,
So it's been good. Oh my God.
that's so exciting. I'm
Yeah,
so happy for you that you started that. That's wonderful.
me too. It literally took me like 5 months to like talk with my primary care provider and
Yeah,
everything. I don't think I ever knew how long it took people to get on T, but
it is a process.
finally there, and I'm just going with it now.
That's wonderful. It must be such a relief to like finally get it after the months of working on that.
Yeah, especially like with COVID and everything. I just like make
Goodness.
I like
Yeah.
wear a mask to everything but I'm so happy that I can do it online and like
Yeah,
get everything at the pharmacy real quick and then I just go home and just am in my body.
wonderful. Yes.
I literally
Congratulations. I'm so happy for you for that.
I can say. Oh my God.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Wow. Can you say a little bit more about your illustration work?
For sure, for sure. Well, over the past summer, I worked on this project called like Ghost Prints. And the reason behind it is because I'm really into printmaking. And so there are these things called ghost prints that after you ink up your um, like woodcut or any kind of etching, you print that with ink and then you reprint it without re-inking it, and that's called a ghost print. And so I really saw ghost prints and the trans and like gender nonconforming experience to be very like together. Mostly because I've heard the like people's story be like, oh well, um, when I came out to my parents, they said that it's like I'm losing a daughter and like not gaining a son, like and like gaining
Yeah,
that. And so I wanted to talk about that kind of loss that trans people have to like exist with when like their family members are going through like their own emotions about their transition. And
totally.
very harmful, but also interesting to be both alive and dead in a way, and like
Yeah,
having dead names. Like
yeah.
when I hear my dead name for anyone else, or like if somebody accidentally calls me that, but like especially when someone else is talking about a different person that has my dead name,
Hmm.
it's like such a strange experience now, you know?
Absolutely.
So that's like
Yeah,
another way that I want to talk about it. But
yeah.
yeah, and I asked like people to send me a photo of themselves before transitioning and after transitioning. And like I explained transitioning should mean however they felt that term should apply to them, or even if it doesn't apply to them. Um, but like before they even changed their name or before they even knew what being trans or gender nonconforming was to after that. And so just to see the physical changes, but also since I hadn't been on any testosterone for the past like 3 years that I knew that I was trans, I wanted to talk about the physical changes that and like the emotional changes that you can express without going through medical transitioning. You know,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I
There
hope.
is there is so much that we can, you know, we are in a constant state of change, whether or not we are injecting different hormones into ourselves than we've had before, you know? Like humans in general are in a constant state of change and growth. And so like of course there's going to be like yeah, so much that we can in the way we can evolve even without hormones, without like any,
Definitely, and I think the
medical
most
transition.
impressive things were like, uh, well, like some people who had medically transitioned, they sent me the photos, and I think they've only seen them in photo form. So when I remade their work or like I re-illustrated them and really layered them on top of each other, they saw
Yeah,
how drastically they had changed, and they were
right.
so shocked by it because even though you have these things that are evident,
Mhm.
like you moving into a different body or space, like you don't realize it until they are literally on top of each other. You know,
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
fun to do.
I'm sure. And um, I love participating in this in this project and getting drawn by you,
Yes.
and also I loved getting to watch this project because you did this for so many people. Like you drew so many trans people, and it must have been interesting to get to like connect with that many trans people and like talk to them. How many of those people did you know beforehand, or how many like reached out to you just specifically for this?
I think um, probably I knew 1/10 of all the people that I drew. And I think the most fun for me was like drawing people who are in completely different continents and different countries
Yes.
because I didn't realize how far Instagram would have like shown my work until it was someone from someone in Europe or someone in Argentina, you know.
Hmm.
And so that was like shocking to me. And
That's so exciting.
like I still have like a bunch of people that I haven't gotten to just because I have thesis,
Hmm.
I have so much other
Yeah,
fun. But like it was such an honor to talk to them. And
I'm
even
sure.
I knew there was one person who was non-binary, um, and they lived in a country where they spoke Spanish. I forgot which country they live in right now, but um, just using like the gender non-conforming Spanish terms, I had never used them before.
Yeah.
I'm fluent in Spanish and I speak Spanish, so I
What
I could
gender
like
forming terms in Spanish?
yeah, it was like really interesting to see them use like elle or ella. I don't know how,
Mm.
right, but um, just because like ella and él. are the two different genders,
Hmm.
and then like elle would be like a middle, and I never really thought about that
I
until
love that.
today. So yeah, it was really cool.
I I love how language evolves as people's understanding of our experience evolves.
Absolutely.
It's really beautiful.
And like me and my mom, we have this conversation a lot about like Latinx because it's not a like Hispanic term. Like it
Yeah.
originated in the US. And so she has problems with it just because of the way that it feels like it's minimizing people or like minimizing the whole group of like Latino, Latinas, and Latinx people. And so when you just like accumulate those words, or like when people are like, oh, we support the Latinx community,
Yeah.
I wish it was like Latino, Latinas, and Latinx because it makes more verbal
Totally.
space for these people and more emphasis on like the diversity that exists in it, you know. So like language is just, whew. But that's why I'm a creator. I don't do language. It's otherworldly to me.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That's something that I didn't know about that term, and I
Mhm.
appreciate you
Yeah, it was
sharing that. Yeah.
originated like um, in Florida when they had the horrible shooting in the gay bar. I forget
Yeah.
which like space that's called, but
Mm.
yeah, I think that term that's the term when it like originally started being searched
Wow.
a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's all
Yeah.
good.
Um, about the Ghost Prince project that you did, and that idea that a lot of families have when a trans person will come out, they'll, go through this grieving process of
Yeah,
like, grieving the idea of who they thought this person was.
yeah,
Um, that is that's something that I find very interesting, and that it just points to the fact that like, we really don't know people as well as we may think we do. And like we always like, even people who aren't trans, just like anybody, we all have these like ideas of people in our head, and that person's like own genuine experience of themselves may be something completely different from that.
yeah,
And I think that that's like a really valuable thing to like acknowledge, and helps to like, you know, grow compassion for everybody to realize that
yeah.
that yeah, whatever idea you have of somebody,
Mhm.
like their experience has nothing to do with your idea of them.
For sure, absolutely.
You know?
And it just like really makes me. It reminds me of this like moment when I was on a different timeline than my mom for understanding my gender.
Yeah.
Like she she was so far away from me and I was
Hmm.
learning so much about myself like during the first like 2 years in college. Um and so like it took her so long to like even use my pronouns right.
Hmm.
It was so painful to me and she didn't understand that.
Yeah.
But then when I came back and I saw like how much progress I had made within myself and understanding. Like it took me 3 years to come to myself, right?
Yeah.
So having that happen to her sporadically for 3 years, and then all of a sudden, like I'm here, like for a longer period of time. I think now she understands like how deeply impactful it is for, or like how deeply gender affects me. You know,
Yeah.
because it wasn't a big deal in high school or any till any point until like the beginning
Hmm.
of college because I just didn't have the words for it and I didn't have people that I wanted to look like, right?
Totally. Yeah.
And so I think also like illustration really helped me because I have a sketchbook still that has the first drawing of me that I did about like top surgery or anything around gender. And I literally like drew, I have to get something off my chest. And it was like, it looked like top surgery.
Yes.
Shocked because I didn't know that I wanted that until that very moment.
Wow.
So it was just like my body was communicating to me what I didn't know in my mind.
Absolutely.
And so
Uh,
how can I expect someone like my mom to like even understand how that is happening if I can't even understand it until
totally. Yeah.
thing, you know? So, but I think like the Ghost Project, it was interesting to see how many people couldn't like think of like any ghost terms or like the different ways that people approached transitioning, approached ghost terms. Like
Yeah.
were all super interesting because I had only thought about it like one or two ways, and then I was like kind of nervous that everyone would like be doing the same thing, but they totally took it out of the way, you know?
What are some like particularly interesting ways that people thought about transitioning that like stuck with you that you hadn't thought about before?
Mhm. Well, I think not so. I don't remember like everybody's writings,
Of
but
course. Yeah.
um, I think something really cool was I followed this one person. I think their Instagram name is like Sunkissed, SONN Kissed, and I've seen his like transitioning for like a while, like his medical transitioning, and he like got on T like super young. Like I think he's like still in high school. And
Mhm.
another person who I illustrated was just getting on T at 30. And so I was felt like, oh, I'm so late to the game. Like I'm so old. And like I feel so bad that I just started T and I'm like 21 and like I've
Yeah.
been on for 4 years. So like it feels like forever, right?
Yeah.
But then having this person that's like much older than me start T like was really inspiring to me and be like, oh, there is no age limit. And I like tell myself that superficially, but
Yeah.
internally I haven't processed that. And so I think that's like something that I really was impacted by
Yeah.
being able to see other people's journeys and having somebody to compare to, but knowing that I can do it in my own time or know that circumstances can change for everybody, you know. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's so important to like realize and acknowledge that gender is something that people experience their whole lives, you know? And
definitely.
like that experience of gender can change throughout our lives at any time, you know? Like people can come to new like ways of understanding themselves at any point in their lives. You
Yes.
know, it is not a kid thing, it is not a young person thing. There is like
Yeah. And like I remember in high school I had a I went to a church that's like a Unitarian church and so we had to talk about what our own religious beliefs are. Um and I said that community is my religion and like people are but um
speaking as a true peer health advocate.
but I had to have a mentor and she was the first like older queer person that I really met. Her name is
Mhm,
Miriam, and she's so sweet. And at the time, I was like freshly gay to myself. Like
mhm.
I was literally like talking to her about being in love with like a girl, but I was like, oh yeah, this guy that I'm kind of in love with. And then I broke down crying. I was like, it's a girl, like guy.
Oh,
I she had a marriage beforehand before she even knew that she was gay.
mhm.
She had like kids and everything. And
Wow.
she like came out and she like got divorced and like was gay. And I was like so amazed by that. And I
Yeah,
felt so deeply connected to her afterward because I had been so vulnerable and then she could tell me that she was like she had to go through a bunch of stuff too
yeah,
to get to that point. And it was just like amazing, you know.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I find it really inspiring to hear stories of people who, you know, came to realize and embrace their queer and trans identity at
Mhm.
a point in time other than when they were like a teenager, you know,
Yeah,
because everybody is like very heavily influenced by the culture in which they grew up,
for sure.
and like everything we've been exposed to over time, and that shapes us. And I find it so inspiring to like see and hear people who have, been shaped by this culture, like followed this path, and then like
Mhm.
at a certain point came to this realization of themselves and decided to be true to that, decided to explore that further. Because I feel like a lot of people, once they get to a certain point of in life, they're like, okay, I know everything I need to know about society. Like, I like I'm set, I have it all figured out, no more growth for me. I'm just gonna stay like this forever. And I just find it so inspiring when like adults are open to growth and change.
For sure. Absolutely.
Love that.
Yeah, I think like the way what you're just talking about, it's like kind of what my thesis is touching on. Um, because I'm kind of exploring like duality, right?
Hmm.
And so when I first came out to my mom, she said that I would have to choose between being trans and being like able to go back to Ecuador because of the fear of like it's kind of like not safe to be gay or queer or anything like and
Yeah,
trans like I've never seen an Ecuadorian trans person before, and so or not that I've known of, but like having that decision to be like, oh, you have to having an ultimatum about
right.
vital things about your life
Yeah,
is like so devastating, but also kind of impossible, because
yeah,
I'm like so deeply rooted in my understanding of transness. Like that is so deeply connected to me now. And I'm also purely like super Ecuadorian,
yeah.
um, and just having family members there and having chosen family here that are like in the trans community,
Hmm.
it's been very interesting to kind of like talk to myself through drawing about like what am I willing to give up or what am I giving up, you know,
Yeah,
and like what am I gaining, um, but also I think giving on opportunity for other people to grow too. And I had talked with her for a long time and just said like I am strong enough to be trans and have to talk to them for a very long time about what being trans means,
hmm,
and I'm willing to put myself through like painful situations so that they can understand me so that we can still have a love for each other and a bond. Like
yeah,
I know that it's not something that like it's not my job, but it's like my duty for anyone who they know afterward who could be trans or queer, um to just have like that support or like even slight understanding of like I know Santo and Santo's like the nicest person ever.
yes.
You just
Yes,
your
you
mom
are.
be rejected for nothing. So like if you can see me and be like, oh okay, trans people are cool. They're just like people. I
Yes.
think that's like the goal. Even just like in my immediate family,
Hmm.
that's what I want.
Totally.
And I can't just be like, oh well, I'm gonna reject Ecuador because of like they won't accept me for who I am. Like
Hmm.
they don't have that exposure. Like I've had years of understanding who I am, and I'm
Yeah.
comfortable with it. I love me. So like I know that they can love me too. So
Hmm. Yeah. Have you been able to stay connected with Ecuador since
yeah,
beginning training?
like I talk with my aunt almost every day for like breakfast. We always eat breakfast together.
That is so sweet. I
Yeah,
love.
that's what I did when my grandma was alive. Like we would always be together because I'm so far away. Like I talk to them so often, even though I'm not physically there. Like we've seen during
Yeah.
COVID that you don't have to be physically anywhere to be somebody.
No, you don't.
So it's just like I try to stay connected with them, and I try to like they follow my Instagram. My cousins follow my Instagram and stuff. So they know that I'm I'm pretty openly trans, you know,
Yes.
and I'm not ashamed of anything. But um, I'm like always welcome to have them talk to me about it, you know. And my mom went back to Ecuador somewhat recently, and I was FaceTiming my mom while my whole family was with her, and they were all like, hey Santo," and I was like, "You don't even know how much that means to me. You don't even know."
It feels so good when people say your name.
Really,
It feels so good.
it's everything because it's like
Yeah.
it's literally me. Like I chose me, you know. So
Yeah.
it's good.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I can actually
I
try to show you some work that I've made, but
yeah, definitely. Um, you've been you've been mentioning exploring yourself through illustration and like working out like
yeah.
feelings and thoughts and stuff through illustration. It sounds kind of like a journaling practice almost, but with art. Would you would you say so?
Definitely. I feel like illustration just like lets you really talk about everything you're feeling when you don't have the words. Like even like I didn't have words for being trans, but like I could put it down on paper in a sort of
Yeah.
way and maybe someone could
Mhm.
make that for me. Like reading a book that you don't know the words to, but it's
Totally. Yeah.
um I think the recent stuff, like I I've had like a pretty hard time during COVID, just like with like family stuff. And I think I would have gotten into a really deep, dark hole if I didn't have illustration to like walk me out of that hole very gently.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that it's like super important, like especially like personally. And then recently I did like a commission work for a company, and that
Oh,
was super awesome. And
that's great.
because like I have to work with them with
Hmm.
um, meeting their demands. But it was like super fun.
Yeah.
It was I was really relieved to have so much fun working on a professional project, you know.
That's so awesome.
Let me see if I can pull up. Well, this is
Yeah, show us your work.
yeah. So I was kind of at the beginning of thesis. I was like thinking about like mapping out time. So it's
Hmm.
kind of like my the dimensions that I'm using, so I can understand have like a space for all of these ideas because they're kind of addressing multiple things at once. I don't really know how to explain that, but so like I have this image and it's literally like me mapping out the times that in my life, right? So this whole red part is like the time I lived in Ecuador when I was a baby, living in Minnesota where I am right now, and living in New York. And so having this is like a frame of reference to my life.
Hmm.
I could illustrate like the places that I've been. So this is like the original sketch and just trying to
Yeah, I saw that on your Insta.
yeah, and so I made a more refined version right now. But
Wow.
yeah, so these are like specific like this is the neighborhood that I lived in. This is like what the Ecuador scene would look like. This is a place near my house and
Hmm.
Main Street residence where I stayed my freshman year. Um and like doing a piece about like you've probably seen this image too, but it's about like body hair or like hair removal and also just like the time and pain that it is to be accepted
Right?
with people and
Yeah.
femme presenting. Like I would
Wow.
have to wax every time I had to go to the beach because it would be unacceptable for me to have any hair on my body
Yeah.
like a girl, right? So
Mm.
it's just um it's been interesting, you know. It's just like a lot of mapping out time of my life so that I can really explain like how much Ecuador means to me and like how much that loss would impact me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But you know, life is
Yeah. I seeing the seeing that map of time in the sketch form where you like drew these different places that were overlapping and stuff. That was it's very telling. It's very descriptive art that like really conveys a lot of meaning in it because we like we carry with us the places that have influenced us, that have raised us, you know?
Absolutely.
And like for me, getting to see that art that you made, I felt like I like understood you better after seeing it because I was able to like, you know, see, oh, like these are the places that Santo thinks of as like, you know, I don't know how you think of them, but like these are the places that have raised Santo, you know?
It's definitely
And
like,
that's a powerful thing.
yeah. And I think it's just, it's hard to be like this identity on a paper. It's
Yeah,
impossible, you know? And so having spaces where I can just talk about the little details that no one is paying attention to in real life. Like if I include a stove there or if I it's
hmm,
purpose. Like it's because I've repeatedly always seen it and it's just part of my memory, you know.
yeah,
And so it's just like it's been interesting to see what is important in the spaces that you're in and how those spaces define the countries that you're in, right?
absolutely.
Like a lot of the greenery that I oh well, there's this other image that I illustrated. One second. Um, okay, so it's this image, right? And so this was like about like right now, like the times that we're living in. Um,
Hmm.
and so just having like the people and like the only interaction you get to have with people is like through touch, is through the keyboard, right?
Yeah,
And
that's
having
true.
like this phone and like an Ecuadorian landscape is because I even on like ugly days in Minnesota, like I can FaceTime my aunt and it'll be beautiful over there, and then she'll show me the scenery. And
That's lovely.
yeah, so it's like being transported into different locations through these devices, even though
Yeah,
like we treat them as if they're like poisonous and also entertainment, you know. It's always like I'm too on my phone too much, and it's like it's true, but what's
but
on the most important part, you know?
yeah, yeah, we do kind of have this idea like technology is bad, but also like, you know, COVID has really showed us that it is a tool for human connection in a really powerful and beautiful way a lot of the time.
Yeah, and it's just like if I even the people on the live right now, like some I know and some I don't, but
Hmm.
like they are listening to my voice and they can have a personal connection with me, you know.
Yes.
And I think that's insane. Like I
Yeah,
think so much
technology
about
affects us.
it because you know I love to make friends, so I'm just like,
Yes.
oh
Yes, you do.
my gosh, yeah. And it just like shows us like how much we crave like intimacy, even on the most surface level, you know.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
like the other
absolutely.
like I was playing Among Us and it's like so embarrassing, but like I was talking to someone on the chat and I have no idea what they look like. I don't know who they are, but they were
Hmm.
talking to me and I was talking to them and I
Yes.
connected. And then when that broke, or like the connection broke,
Hmm.
I felt like heartbroken.
Yeah.
I'd never like really gone through that in such a quick moment before. And so it was just like very impactful to feel like so disappointed that I'll never find this person again. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's life.
It
Like
is.
you can do
But
that too. So it's just like,
it's so wonderful that we can have those like meaningful connections even if they are for such a short time, you know?
mhm.
Like you don't have to form like a lifelong friendship with someone in order to have a really meaningful connection with them. Like meaningful
Absolutely.
connections can be any length of time.
Yeah. Especially like meaningful connections that are over your entire life, but only in short moments, right? So
Yeah.
I have like a friend from Spain, and I talk to her maybe like once every 6 months, and like I see
Hmm.
her deeply, and it's just
Yeah.
because I just think about her once in a while, and she thinks about me once in a while. And like having
Yeah.
so far away is just insane and really beautiful, you know?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
But yeah.
I'm I'm curious to hear more about your thesis. Do you wanna talk more about that?
Yeah, I mean, like,
I'm sorry if that's an overwhelming question. I'm just curious.
good. My thesis, it has been kind of hard to work on because I think I'm finally understanding that the mapping of time is just like for me to get a reference of what I'm trying to talk about, but really, like, the core of it is based on do you know Gloria Anzaldúa? She's a feminist writer, and she talks about borderlands. And
Oh,
yeah, so she talks
yeah,
being mestiza and kind of like where did the borders of things begin, and where did those borderlands exist, and what do they look like, right? And so like I have lived with that constantly throughout my life because of being like Swedish Ecuadorian. Like those two cultures are so similar and so extremely different. And like even I was talking with my mom the other day, and I was talking about like Ecuador and how it has so many fruits, and you can literally like pull up on the side of the highway and spend $1 on like 17 fruits and vegetables, and
I
it's
love it.
like a third class, like a third world, like how,
Hmm.
like a country that's like viewed lower, right, than
Yeah.
Sweden at least.
Hmm.
And like Sweden, you can hardly find like a green banana. Like it would have to be the hard banana.
Yeah,
I'm like, that is like such a Eurocentric or like such a colonial way of looking at,
totally.
because like Ecuador is literally the land of abundance. It's so beautiful. You have so much, like there's four different types of environments in Ecuador: the coast, the Amazon, and the mountain. But
That's beautiful.
and like people treat it like, oh, it's just like some people, I don't know.
Yeah,
And they treat Sweden like it's the highest regarding thing in the world. And I'm like,
yeah.
no, you don't know. Ugh, it's
It's really wild the different I don't know, the different things that we prioritize as having more value than others,
mhm,
um, based on
crazy. Like they're both
political
valuable, but,
instructions. And
Ecuador is definitely valuable.
yes, yes,
So I was really trying to talk about those like borderlands, right? And how they come to meet me in the middle, like what I find in the middle, and how those extremes like interact with each other. I don't know.
totally.
And like
Yeah,
being like multicultural has taught me so much about being trans, right?
I'm
And
sure.
it's let me be so gentle with myself,
Yes,
and like
good.
how amazing like Swedish and Ecuadorian combinations can be. Some
Yeah,
gender is just like that, right? And
totally.
when I talk with my mom about gender, and we talk about like gender nonconforming or just like non-binary or
Hmm.
spectrum,
Yeah.
I talk about like how Latinos and Latinas and Latinx people are viewed as like one thing, right?
Hmm.
You're that. But there's literally like so many countries in Latinidad, and like only people who are like Latinos really understand that. And
Hmm.
talking about like a Latino, like you have to be specific because the cultures are different and everything is different about them. Just like
Totally.
here, and like we don't give enough space for that. in like our topics or conversations about gender and like culture
Yeah.
interacting with each other because they can't be separate. So
Hmm.
I think it's been really interesting to talk about that with her while I've been here, you know.
I'm sure.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I just like
I,
want to.
I love it. I love it. There's all these things, whether it be like, you know, culture or gender or like all these other like categories that we label ourselves with
Hmm.
or label others with that I feel like a lot of people tend to view as very like rigid and defined
For sure.
and like binary like either this or this.
Mm.
And but like the reality of it is like the human experience is a lot more diverse than that. And people do have like and experience multiple cultures and like multiple experiences with gender and like so many other things.
Hmm.
And yeah, what you were saying about like the borders between those things,
Hmm.
like um I don't know, for me being trans has really helped me to like, not just break down these like borders between gender that I had
Hmm.
like put up in my mind before, but also break down like all of these other societal constructs that we're all like conditioned to believe,
Hmm.
um, and like see the world in a much more like open and multidimensional way.
Absolutely. Like we take so many things that are structures for granted, you know, and we can like artwork gets to question what those borders are or what those structures are, and even question like what do they even matter? Like does money matter? It's
Right.
a concept that we're all agreeing on, but we can even push it further and try to like talk about, oh well, then what should money be, or what is truly valuable to us, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it really like once you deconstruct everything, you can really find the diamonds in the rough, right? Um,
Yeah.
because like even money, gender, anything like that, it's to highlight things that we love and we find beautiful, right? So we
Yeah.
on things that we like and or hopefully or and we give into gender constructs to bring us comfort and to let us see beauty in people. Um,
Yeah.
but once you break down like gender and like you have somebody that's like super non-conforming, you can see so much beauty in them too, from both sides and from every other side, you know. Um, and I think that's something that like we're so privileged, like as trans people and gender non-conforming people, or like people who are open to that, the breaking of binaries. We're privileged to see the beauty in all of that, and we're
Yeah.
comfortable because we've been uncomfortable for so long, and we've had to struggle with ourselves. And I think that it's like once you find other people who are super uncomfortable with how beautiful you are or how non-conforming you are to anything, like you just have to let them in, and you have to be like, it's okay that you're scared or that you're struggling with this because I struggled with this too because I was raised the same way that you were,
Yeah.
you know? So,
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good point. Um, and that also goes back to what you were saying earlier about like, parents needing time to like parents being on a different timeline than their kid for realizing that
mm-hmm.
their kid is trans. Um, because like, as trans people, we have like, you know, we had to go through this process of unlearning all of this transphobia
Yeah.
before we could even like come out to ourselves, let alone come out to our friends and family.
Mhm.
you know? And then like once we do, that process continues of like continuing to like unlearn that transphobia and like break down the gender binary so that we can like love ourselves, you know? And that is a very intentional process for a lot of trans people because we don't really have a choice because like the alternative is just to like hate ourselves and be really confused our whole lives, you know, which isn't really an option.
Oh,
um
no.
and so like and but that is a process that takes time for us and for anyone.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I think it's so important to like, you know, acknowledge that like parents and families have to go through that process too, and it does take time,
Yeah.
you know, and like somebody who like a parent may have a like bad or like negative first reaction when somebody comes out,
For
but
sure.
that does not mean that that is like going to be their view their whole life.
Yeah.
That is just their like initial response at hearing this the first time, you
Yeah.
know.
And a lot of like my questioning about like losing family members from Ecuador, like losing Ecuador as like a place, um, I had to really talk to myself while I was making my work. I was trying to think about like, oh well, how would they negatively think of me, right? Or how will they limit me? But I didn't even like I never made any pieces about that in the end because I thought that was so unfair, and it would be so unfair of me to be like, oh well, you'll just reject me because I'm trans.
Mhm.
Maybe they won't. Maybe you're not giving them a chance.
Yeah.
Um, and I think you just have to like trans people and cis people and cis family members have to be really honest with themselves and have like an open communication of like I'm willing to hurt this much and you have to be willing to hurt equally to meet in the middle because
Totally. And like see each other.
right
Yeah.
because otherwise like I'm not going to be a trans person that's going to try to like be in your life forever and you
Mhm.
contact me for years and years and years like no that's not okay but I
Mhm.
have that pain of however long it takes as long as you are willing to be able to adapt right um,
Yeah.
and I think like the generational gap of like even between like parents and children like you have to give them so much time because like we're able to process a lot of things really fast because we're used to like social media and like we're used to like having to constantly change our minds about people if like with any latest news right
Mhm.
and I think that like parents they just need a little bit more time than we are willing to give them sometimes
Yeah. Yeah.
but you know we also have to stand up for ourselves and be like bro like no hard it's a hard
Both of those things. Yes.
order right so it's like possible to be like how much can I hurt before we'll be okay you know
Yeah.
but it's been a good process I think this even this whole conversation will help me in my thesis you know
Yes.
oh my gosh it's been so fun you know
Yeah. Are there any other are there any other projects or works that you want to talk about?
and try to find some I'm constantly drawing like I feel like I've gotten so much better over the past like quarantine because I literally can't do anything but draw. Um,
Love seeing all of your art on Instagram. I'm honestly not on Instagram very much, but whenever I am on, your art always like comes to the top of my page because whenever I am I'm like I like it, so Instagram knows that, so it shows me. I love and appreciate very much.
well, I did this like Day of the Dead poster thing. Oh, sorry. I made this.
Wow.
because we made an altar in my house for the first time in a long time for Day of the Dead. Um, and it's actually my mom's birthday um, on the same day. So it's really funny to
Wow.
celebration and such a day of like remembrance. Um,
Yeah.
and I think just like being able to have that as like part of like my culture is like very healing. I don't think I ever realized how healing it was. Like I had a loss in my family recently, and it was just like very helpful to be able to be like, even if I don't truly believe it, I can feel like the things that I'm doing will bring them closer, you know, and just like being able to have their photos all out and talking to everyone and being like, oh, well, we had this fun memory and this is
Yeah.
chocolate, so we're gonna put it out there so they can come and eat it, you know. I think
That's
those
beautiful.
really help healing a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Mhm. I haven't done so much like personal work. Well, I made this like I'm gonna make this into an etch cutout. It's like
Ooh,
a it's like
cool.
a poster, but it's like for my first shot. It's like it already happened, but it's like
Love it.
it's like a tea party. So, you know.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. I'm so excited for you
Thank
for
you.
starting tea. That's so exciting.
I'm so happy. I'm literally like I only had like one rough day last week, and I think it was because I hadn't left the house for 3 days too, but I
Yeah.
much more emotional than I usually am.
Hmm.
And it's just like very interesting to feel like my face, because I'm usually a really dry face, but now it's kind of oily, and I'm just like, okay,
Yeah,
you.
yeah. It's so fun noticing all the changes as they come.
It really is. I feel so sexy. Like I know physically
Yes.
like at all, but I literally feel so good about myself.
That's amazing. That's so good.
Oh my god.
That's so beautiful and important.
I have the same poster that I made with you, the lamination.
Yes.
Remember? Uh,
Yes, I do.
looking at it and I was like, oh my god, the confidence in the body heat, totally feel that. Can't wait
Yes.
for that redistribution.
Love it.
It's so, it's been so fun, you know.
I'm so glad.
I'm so excited. I'm just looking at my stacks. Like the stack of people that I had to draw for the ghost project, I duplicated a bunch of them because I would edit the colors if the person didn't want the specific color that I used. I
Hmm.
have like 129 images
Wow.
from like all the different iterations and like all the different people, you know?
That's lots.
Yeah. I loved working with them. I
I'm
really get
sure.
to it sometime soon, maybe like during winter break or something.
Hmm.
But I'll probably be working on thesis a lot too.
Yes, you will. Sure.
I'm so excited though. Like I just draw on my iPad 24/7, so I just really want to like paint on my walls and like do huge things that are physical.
Yeah, you should.
I really
You
should to get
you
out.
should turn your room into a big painting.
I literally have so much space for it too. Ignore the cat box because I have a new kitten, but
Oh, sweet. That wall
I know huge
is
wall,
just asking to be painted.
or at least put like a can up. Jesus, I'm so big
Yeah,
now.
I love it.
Oh my gosh, but I'm trying to think about any more recent work. I've just been doing, I have this color theory class right now, and that has been so much fun. Like, I hated color before. Like, I used to absolutely,
Yes, paint it.
yeah, Dippy, oh God, stop killing me. Um, but I've done these, so you have to do like different time of the day and stuff. And just
Ooh,
working with the different colors has been
oh, I love that.
so much fun. Like, I never really thought
Wow,
about that before.
that's really fun.
Yeah. So, and then
That's
like, I just use other people's photo references.
I love it.
But I just been making stuff, you know.
Lovely.
I'm just trying to practice so that I can make a piece for my thesis that would look okay. I can show you more work around
All of
my.
your work looks beautiful. I love it all.
I did some printmaking, so I do like lino cuts right now.
Oh, cool.
Uh, yeah, so I made this little house, and then
I
I
love
did this
it.
painting a while ago. Now,
Wow.
time, you know. Um,
Beautiful.
I don't know what else. I literally just have a tiny little studio, so I have all my papers over there, and like painting stuff over there, and then I scan in a lot of things.
Yeah.
I have some of my girlfriend's drawings that she did for me because I absolutely love them.
Sweet.
On her phone, she hates that I drew her, but so much, and she's just watching over me like she always is. Benevolent overlord.
Did I spot some of your pigeons on a shelf?
Oh my god, yeah. I have the honorary pigeon underneath there, so that,
Yes.
and then I have some chickens.
I love them.
I'll just like painted all over it, because it
That's
would
so good.
if it wasn't all over painted.
Yes, you should do that to your wall. Do that to your wall. Absolutely.
Oh, I also did this print. I don't know if I have a good print of it. Um, it was like about how like haircuts are kind of euphoric. I don't really know. Oh,
Yes,
I made a video of it. Sorry for the flashing lights, but uh,
pretty.
yeah, it was just like about like just having gender euphoria through
Yes, I
like
love to Euphoria.
I
Oh,
literally cut my hair every 2 weeks because I'm just like euphoria right now.
yeah, feel good. Yes, do it. Beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, but I've just been playing. No, nothing too
That's so nice.
like.
Well, I think I'm gonna
Yeah,
say goodnight.
definitely sleep tight.
But yeah, it
Thank
has been so nice
you.
talking with you and catching up and hearing about your work.
It was such a pleasure,
It is,
honestly.
it is so good to see your face.
Oh, it was so good to see your face, Edmund. I love talking to you. You're such a sweetheart.
You're such a sweetheart.
Hey, stop. Well, have a good
Have a
night.
beautiful
Oh, I'll see you soon, Edmund.
Bye, Santo.